Welcome back, America. Our next guest has been a champion of whistleblowers like none other that I've met in my career. For 2.5 decades as one of the most accomplished investigators in Congress, he worked with whistleblowers to expose enormous wrongdoing, and then he founded the Empower Oversight Whistleblower Center, which has brought to life so many allegations and so many serious problems, from the FBI to those famous IRS whistleblowers that we've had a lot to say about on the show. Jason Foster has been fighting there, but last week, he found out something disturbing about himself. He found out that the Justice Department was spying on him while he was investigating the Justice Department as a congressional Senate investigator. He joins us now to bring us up to speed on that. Jason, great to have you back on the show.
Hey, John, thanks for having me.
Last Friday, you get a notification from your phone company. It's got to be pretty disturbing. Tell us what happened, what you found out, and what concerns you most.
Sure. So I woke up on Friday morning to a notice from Google, which I got about 1 o'clock in the morning, that on one of my Google Voice telephone numbers that said that they had complied with compulsory process from the Justice Department, and attached was a copy of a grand jury subpoena dated September 12th, 2017, so 6 years and a month or so ago. And it sought all toll records, call logs, text logs, et cetera, for that particular phone number. The particular phone number that I got the notice on was one that was actually used by my wife, forwarded to our home phone and my wife's cell phone. Not something anybody ever would have contacted a reporter on. Presumably, this is related to, given the time frame of the dates of the information they were asking for, it looks like it may be related to a leak investigation, that it might be related to the leak investigation of the Carter Page FISA, which, of course, I had access to as a Judiciary Committee staffer in March of 2017. They asked for all my records from December 2016 through May 1st of 2017. But they couldn't possibly have had a predicate or any actual reason to seek the phone records, related to that particular number, because there was never any contact with any press on that number.
Unbelievable.
Leads me to ask, because, this may seem like a lay perspective, but it kind of feels like all that we have learned about the DOJ and maneuvering, the political maneuverings, and even agencies like the FBI, it feels like if you are investigating a Democrat or you're poking around possible corruption of a Democrat, you need to use a burner phone and a dummy email.
So one thing I don't know is whether or not that they actually got the contents of the Verizon cell phone that was issued to me from the Senate, on which I would normally do, my business, right? That I would speak to the senator on, that he would call and text me on, et cetera, or that I would have authorized contacts with the press on. So we don't know whether or not they got that information, because I haven't gotten any kind of a notice from Verizon, and it's my understanding that they don't have any policy of sending out a notice like Google does. So the only reason that I know is because of the Google notice. But since receiving the notice, I have learned that the Inspector General has an investigation open on this matter, looking at the predicates and the sources and methods of gathering information on congressional staff in a number of leak investigations that the Justice Department conducted. And I should be clear that this is not just me. I mean, there's at least a dozen or more other staffers, both Republicans and Democrats. What it looks like occurred is that there was this extremely broad dragnet of searching for information on everyone in the executive branch, with the very, very thin justification that they wanted to see all the personal emails and communications logs for everyone who had access to the particular information that leaked. Well, there's dozens, if not hundreds, of people in the executive branch who also had access to that information before Congress did. There's people at the FISA court, clerks and so forth, who all had access to that same information. So the question that it naturally raises is, well, did you do the same thing to all of those people, or did you just subject the people who were on your oversight committees to this extraordinary scrutiny?
Yeah, that is a very important question, one I know you're digging to get the answer to, because you filed a FOIA today to press the Justice Department to turn over all of that information. How important is that to starting to get some transparency? And by the way, do you think Congress will also dig in on this?
Yes, I mean, I've had, as far as I know, I'm the only one to go public on this latest round of notifications. I know that Kash Patel, a former Nunes staffer, had gone public on a similar notification that he got last December. Right. But I know from my contacts with folks at the Senate Legal Counsel's office and at the Inspector General and just former colleagues on the Hill, that there are several other people that got a similar notice, both when Kash got his and when I got mine. It's just that most people aren't, coming out and being public about it. But there are lots of questions being asked behind the scenes, and that will continue and will probably be asked in public shortly by oversight authorities in the House. It's really this is not a partisan issue. It shouldn't be a partisan issue. It's an institutional issue. It's Republicans in Congress. It's people on, it's not just people on Senator Grassley's staff. It was people on Senator Feinstein's staff. It was people on Senator Schumer's staff. It was, it's extremely broad and without any sort of real predicate or reason that we are aware of. And I know there was no predicate for one of the particular phone numbers of mine that was targeted.
Yeah.
Jason, if I could, I just want to dig in on a couple of these dates because there was this very contentious meeting in January of 2018 with Deputy AG Rod Rosenstein. And in that meeting, he threatened to subpoena records from House Select Permanent Committee on Intelligence, threatened to subpoena records from them. But 4 months prior, I think it was September of 2017, we now know they were already spying. What's the reason to threaten that if he knew he was already getting that information?
Well, it's a very important and insightful question, right? Maybe it's because Mr. Rosenstein didn't know. And that's important because there are rules in the Justice Department that require advanced senior level approvals when you're gathering information on attorneys, people in the press, people in religious organizations, for constitutional reasons, right? And there ought to be those same enhanced procedures for when you're looking at congressional staff, senior congressional staff, or members of Congress or senators. So those are some of the issues that the Inspector General is going to be teasing out. But it's quite possible that this was, you have to think about the time frame that this occurred, right? So this is the date of my subpoena was September 12th, 2017. Comey had been fired in May. McCabe, his deputy, was leading the FBI there, not in a Senate confirmed position. For all of that summer when they would have been preparing and gathering the information that was ultimately put in this subpoena to Google to get my records and the records of my Democrat and Republican colleagues. So, you had, sort of the permanent government doing what it was doing. I guess technically on the date that the subpoena for my stuff was issued, Director Wray was confirmed, but I mean, he'd just been very, very recently confirmed. So he's going to be up on Capitol Hill next week. I'm hoping he'll get some questions about that. I'm hoping that others on Capitol Hill, will dig in. I called the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Columbia, which is who issued the subpoena, and asked to speak to the Assistant U.S. Attorney who signed the subpoena. I left several messages last week and this week, basically just asking, hey, the Google notice says that there was a court order that said this had to be secret for 6 years. I'd like to see that court order. What's the basis for keeping it secret from me for 6 years? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I haven't received a response.
I bet the customer service probably wasn't that good. Jason, you do such amazing work all day and all night. Next time we get you on, I want to talk about the Marcus Allen case more. You had a big development on that. We've run out of time, but we'll get you back on real soon. Such a great honor to have you on.